Hi and welcome to another Steve's Amateur Garage video. Today we will be unpacking and hopefully starting to reinstall the reconditioned engine for Apple on 1972 VW Campervan. Let's go. Here's how the engine arrives, beautifully wrapped on a pallet, reconditioned engine from the VW engine company. Here's the first look at the brand new reconditioned engine from the VW Engine Co. And all I can say is, wow, it's like a work of art. Just have a look at this. I've gone with the expertise, followed their advice. Anything that needed replacing, they advised me before replacing it, but effectively we've just gone with it. So we've got the best possible engine we can have for hopefully many years of reliable holidaying. It looks fantastic. Comes with its new filter, new clutch, exhaust's been painted, new fan housing, virtually all new tinware. Mine was completely, well, let's just say well past its best, but it looks absolutely spot on. And that's going to go with the reconditioned gearbox from Limebug, which I'll do a test fit next. And there's the information on the tag for the gearbox. That should give us a little easier cruising speed at its maximum of what was 50 miles an hour. Any more is a bonus. Just test fitted the reconditioned gearbox to the reconditioned engine, and yes, everything lined up really nicely. One thing we did have to change from the original gearbox was the starter motor. You just have to be a little bit careful because there's two different lengths of shaft here, and the original one, I can't remember whether it was the slightly longer shaft. There's only about 10mm difference between the long one and the short one, but either way, when we fitted the original starter motor back onto the gearbox, it was too either long or short to engage with the teeth on the flywheel. So no problem, we changed it for a brand new starter motor with the correct length shaft, and I've lifted it up and put it all together. It slots together nicely, so I'm happy to now put the gearbox back into position. The gearbox is now underneath the van. It's balanced on the big jack, and all we've got to do is get these two into underneath here, and the bolts through here, and the forks on the front of the gearbox just coming into view there, up underneath those two little slots there, and then a couple of bolts in there. We've got the cable already through its support bracket here, and this cable will eventually end up through the clutch arm, and we put the big wing nut back on, the big adjuster nut. Bit of a balancing act, Wish me luck. Okay, here we are underneath the van. The gearbox is successfully located. The 2 bolts at the top of the gearbox firmly tightened up. The 2 bolts that hold the front forks in tightened up. And the drive shaft is reinstated with all its bolts torqued down to 25 pounds. Just the other drive shaft to put on. Back underneath the van, and before we put the engine back to the gearbox, I've just replaced the clutch release bearing. Nice new one. There's nothing wrong with the old one, but while everything else in the gearbox has been reconditioned, we might as well put a new one in there. The drive shafts are reconnected. Nice new rubber boots on there. So let's move on. Okay guys, it's the end of another day. The engine is loosely in position. Its 4 bolts are in place, and I'll show you where the 4 bolts are that hold this engine into place. Here we are underneath the van, and I'd just like to show you the 4 bolts that actually hold the gearbox to the engine. There's the first one. Just over the other side, there's the second one. They're relatively easy to get at. The third one is more difficult, as it is right over the back there, behind the fan housing, which if you get your head and your arms down the back there, you should just be able to see it there, just where that yellow arrow is. Difficult to get at, but not impossible. And the fourth one I can't really get a good picture of because it's right over the other side of the engine. It's just to the left of the clutch lever. 2 bolts either side of the rear engine support bracket, both sides located and bolted up. Well, it was all progressing a little bit too smoothly. The fuel lines are connected up, the heater tubes are connected up underneath to the heat exchangers. That's going well. Decided to attach the throttle cable, which is currently just here. Should connect here to the bottom of the lever on the carburetor, and for whatever reason the cable is about an inch or two too short. So we'll have a look at the front and see what connects it at the front, and obviously do a bit of investigation. Here we are underneath the front of the van, and there is the accelerator cable. Just looks like it has a little 90-degree bend on the end of that cable. Goes through a hole. I'm going to unhook it and pull the cable through. Hi guys, further investigation on the accelerator cable scenario. Managed to find a throttle cable extend kit that could well do the job. Let's fit it. Okay guys, didn't quite go to plan. The accelerator extender piece, once fitted to the accelerator cable, actually made it a little bit too long and therefore had no effect. So I've had to go to plan B, and I've made a small bracket which is now bolted onto the bottom of the accelerator lever underneath the van, and there's the accelerator cable hooked back into place with the spring above it. And that's just given me that extra 10 mil, maybe 15 mil that are required to make the original cable work. Should work, We will see. Well, we've finally made it to that moment we've all been waiting for. The engine's in, the gearbox is in, there's oil in both of them, there's petrol in. We're effectively all ready to turn the key and see what happens. This will be the first time for this engine, even though it has been run on the test bed at the VW engine company, so I've got every faith in it. But let's turn the key and see what happens. Fingers crossed. Hi, and hope you've enjoyed the latest video. Hope it was informative. Since we got the engine running, a couple of months have gone by, and in that time we've run it in, really tuned in the engine and dialed in the gearbox, so everything is working absolutely spot on. Really happy with it. But the burning question is, how much has it cost to have a reconditioned engine and gearbox in a VW Type 2? And the answer to the question is £1,500 or just over for the gearbox, and £4,661 for the engine. Just about £6,200 for the lot. Will we ever recoup that money? Probably not. But will it give us years of reliable motoring? It probably will. Thanks very much for watching the video all the way to the end. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please like, subscribe and hit the notification bell, because we've got many more videos coming up soon, both on the campervan, the MG and the Ferrari. You take care, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now.